Okay, so kinds of civil wrong. What is a civil wrong and criminal wrong? What is the difference?
Ma'am, civil wrong is something which is against an individual, and criminal wrong is basically against the society.
Why against the society?
Ma'am, because like something like murder is so heinous, it is taken up by the court as a responsibility to towards society.
Yes. So we consider that society, the state is having a responsibility to protect us, ensure our safety. If something so heinous is committed, we consider it as a crime against the society. We see in case of parties also we see, right? Not like the person, the victim, but state versus the person we usually see for most of the criminal cases.
Yes.
Hey, before we continue, I wanted to inform you about my live mentorship program for LLB students or law aspirants. Law subjects and law topics need detailed clarity. We get that with the help of cases, examples, and detailed explanation. It's definitely not possible to include everything in these short videos. If you find my videos easy to understand and you are looking for some professional help, in preparing for your examination, you can join my live mentorship program. Here you will be getting exam tips, answer writing skills, detailed notes that you can refer for your examination, cases, examples, and in a very easy way topics will be explained. I have live classes going on for a lot of subjects as of now. To know more about it, you can drop me a message on this WhatsApp number. I'm also helping a lot of students in writing their assignments. If you need any such help or for any queries, any suggestions, you can drop me a message on this WhatsApp number. And now let's continue with our video. So this is nothing but different types of civil wrongs. So civil wrongs are committed by one or more individuals. It might happen sometimes that you would see there are many plaintiffs in one single case, many defendants in one single case. So it might be one person or maybe more than one person. It might be groups or groups against the other. It might also happen that the organization, right? One organization is filing a case against the other organization. That also might happen. They are mainly disputes between individuals, organizations, or between the two in which compensation is awarded to the victim. Now, the main aim of civil wrong is to provide compensation to the person. Why is compensation provided?
Ma'am, it is considered as a remedy for the civil wrong because it's not something that you can put someone in jail for usually.
And also because in case of civil wrongs, we are suffering some kind of loss or harm. Like take for example, in case of maybe a motor accident case, right? In a motor accident case, the person met with an accident and he had to spend might be 40,000 rupees for his treatment. For his medical expenses, he had to spend 50,000 rupees. We consider that by filing a civil suit, what he would do is, otherwise, if this accident was not there, if this accident would not have taken place, he would not have spent 50,000 rupees for medical expenses, right? So we try to provide him compensation so that we can bring him back to the same position where he would have been if this civil wrong was not committed. Right, so if he had suffered 50,000 rupees loss, that would be paid. If he had to file a case for that, he had to spend another 1 lakh rupees, that also will be paid. If he had suffered some kind of, like problems, uncomfortable or something, for that also expenses might be there. So all these issues which are there, those would be taken into consideration and accordingly compensation would be paid to the person. Main aim is that we want to bring back the position to the same state where he would have been if this civil wrong would not have taken place. So we want to provide him compensation and we want to, because we cannot undo what is already being done. So we try to provide him some kind of a relief.
Okay.
The main aim of law in terms of civil wrong is not to punish the wrongdoer. As such, it's not like a crime or something where the person will be punished, but yes, he has definitely done something wrong And for that, what he can do is he can try to provide compensation to reduce the impact of the harm, right? To reduce its gravity, he can pay some compensation. But rather, it aims at minimizing the loss or harm, whatever loss the person has suffered, that it tries to reduce. How it reduces? By way of paying compensation, whatever amount the person had to suffer.
Okay.
So now there are different kinds of civil wrongs, like we have tort, we have contract, we have family dispute, we have property matters, and so many other different types. So what is tort? You must have
Ma'am,
already studied, right?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, tort is basically something which is twisted.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a breach of a duty. For example, negligence, nuisance, etc.
And who fixes that duty?
Ma'am, it's a reasonable care a person should take place.
Yes. Correct. So tort is nothing but something like we are being member of the society, we are expected to behave in one certain way. If we are deviating from that, we are behaving this or that way, that is nothing but tort. It is twisted. It is something which is not straight, something which we were not expected to do. And for that, damages are considered as unliquidated. What is unliquidated and why is it unliquidated?
Ma'am, since you said tort is a civil wrong, so usually in civil wrong, compensation or any sort of remedy can be changed as per the condition of the case. So it's not fixed.
And why so?
Ma'am, because it depends on the case and circumstances and amount of damage.
Hmm. Yes, correct. In case of tort, it is unliquidated. It is not prefixed. Only when case is filed, court would look into the facts and circumstances and court would provide a compensation because each case is significant. Each case is like different from the other. For example, entering someone else's property without that person's consent is nothing but trespass. Providing some services, doctors or other people who are involved in some kind of services, they are expected to perform some duties. If they are not doing it, it would be negligence. If you are disturbing another person, that would be nothing but negligence, like playing loud music and stuff. So in all these cases, we do not know what would be the impact, right? Okay, fine, I entered someone else's property, I committed trespass. Let's take for example, what I have done is, maybe you are a person living in a certain house and I entered your property. Okay, I entered your property. Now in that case, might be I have not done anything wrong as such. Okay, I have not caused you any loss or anything. I simply entered your property. I have committed the tort of trespass. In that case, what I'm doing, I have violated your right. So the amount of compensation that would be paid to you would be very less because I have not as such caused you any loss, any harm, any damage or anything. I have simply committed the wrong of trespass. I just entered your property without your permission. In this case,
Yes.
might be amount of compensation would be very less, maybe some 20,000 rupees or something is paid. All right. In another case,
Yes.
take for example, there is a company. Okay, there is one A company, there is another person. Now, in case of companies, they would enter into so many different types of contracts with other companies, with other clients and all that, right? In those contracts, you would see there would be different clauses mentioned. And one of the clauses would be to maintain like safety and security because they are disclosing some confidential information. Okay, they would be disclosing some confidential information. So they will expect that this certain company, a company, they ensure their safety and security properly because confidential information is shared. So in the contract itself, they would mention that you need to do this, that, and everything. That's why you would see all this tech park and all there. So many safety measures would be taken. Do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have you heard of it or any experience visiting a tech park or something?
No, ma'am, I have not visited, but I've heard.
You have heard, right? So you cannot even enter inside a company, right? If you are maybe your some siblings or might be relative or someone is working, might be they can simply take you to the cafeteria. You cannot even enter inside the organization. Why? Because of those safety and security reasons. That what if you enter, that you are violating. Okay, fine, you are not committing anything wrong, but you are violating those safety regulations. Okay, so take for example, here I entered your property and I have not done anything wrong. Compensation paid was 20,000 rupees. In another case, what I did is I entered one organization, I entered one company, I entered a tech park. Okay, I was not an employee of this organization. I still somehow managed to enter the company. Okay, and what I have done is, maybe in this case also I have not done anything wrong. But because I entered the company and this news got circulated everywhere, what happened is 5 of their clients, okay, 5 of their clients terminated the contract. They said, you are not maintaining our safety security properly. We are ending this contract. We don't want your service. 5 clients refused to continue with their services. Or might be those 5 clients were paying maybe 50,000, 50 lakhs rupees or something every single month. That kind of a business they were doing. So in this case, I have done the same thing. I simply entered. I have not done anything wrong. But here, the impact is so less. Here, the impact is so high, right? So that is the reason why in case of tort it's unliquidated, because you do not know what might be the impact, even though it's the same kind of crime. That I simply entered your house, I entered another company. I have not done anything in either of the cases, but see the kind of impact that it is having. That's why based on that, the compensation is also fixed. Okay.
Okay.
Did I mention about that Whitehead Junior? I think I have mentioned, right? Defamation case.
Yes, ma'am, you did mention that.
Right? So why was the amount so high? Because it was an organization, right? For them,
Yes,
the amount was very high. But if it would have been like a person who was defamed, might be the amount would have been very less. That is again the reason why it is unliquidated, because we do not know what would be the outcome of it. We know that somebody entered somewhere without permission, but we don't know the result. So amount, we don't have any maximum minimum limitation as such. But in case of crimes, you would mostly see in punishment, it would mention that, okay, this is the fine, maximum this much rupees. Sometimes it is not given, but yeah, sometimes it's given also. But in case of tort, it's not given.
Yes.
That is the first type of civil wrong. Second is contract. Contract and tort both are civil wrongs. Both are that we have an obligation, we should perform it. But what is the difference? Okay, in both the cases, we have a duty that we should be performing. But here, the duty is fixed by law. Law tells you that you should not be playing so loud music that you are disturbing your neighbors. You should not be entering someone else's property because it is their private property, right? It's something which law tells you what you should do, what you should not do. But in case of contract, what happens? It is not a duty fixed by law, but it is breach of duty which is fixed by contracting parties. That is, it's between the parties. If there is a contract between you and me, we both would decide what would be our obligations, what would be our duties. And we should fulfill that. If we are violating it, that is nothing but breach of the contract. Right? So that is the difference between tort and contract. And in case of tort, mostly damages are fixed because we know what might be, like we have an idea on what might be the impact. If you do not fulfill the terms or conditions of the contract, I can at least guess that, okay, fine, this might be the amount of loss that I would suffer, right? I have a fair idea of it. So mostly in case of contract, we mention also that this would be the compensation that we need to pay to the other party.
Okay.
Have you heard of bond agreement? I think we discussed about that as well, right?
What now?
Bond agreement.
Bond agreement. Ma'am, we did not discuss it, but yes, I know what bonds are. Like,
Yeah.
company, ma'am, it's like basically companies or the parties sign an agreement and they pay a certain amount before signing it, I think, to validate it.
Yeah. So one party would be definitely the company, and another party would be might be like a fresher who has joined the company for the very first time or something. That person, that employee will make a promise that I will work in your organization at least for 3 years. And if before that I'm leaving, I will pay you might be 5 lakhs rupees compensation. This is nothing but a bond agreement. Okay, so here what is happening? They know that okay, if this employee is leaving the job before 3 years, we would suffer around this much of loss. So if he pays this much of amount, it is fine. It's well and good for us. Why? Because maybe they have spent money in training the employee and providing him some course and stuff like that. Okay, so in case of contract, we usually have an idea on what might be the possible uh, loss that they would suffer.
Okay.
Okay, there was one case also for this Consumer Protection Act we have, right? For that relating to negligence, there was one case that service provided was not good. One model was given 22 crores compensation because of a bad haircut and some bad like hair treatment. That was not satisfactory. She was not satisfied with the services. 2 crores compensation was given. Why? Because she was her entire profession was based on her looks and her hair only. Okay, so that those things would be taken into consideration, right? Specific things of a certain case would be taken into consideration. Based on that, compensation would be fixed.
Ma'am,
Next,
is
yeah.
this Kardashian case you're talking about?
Sorry.
I think you told about the Kardashian case. Is
No,
that
this is a different one.
okay?
Yeah, Consumer Protection Act. You can simply search. It's available. National Consumer. This was the case. It's everywhere. You can read that also. Okay, next is family disputes. So matrimonial disputes like deciding validity of the marriage is also a type of civil dispute. If two married persons decide to get divorced, the matter would again be filed before a civil court. After divorce, who would get custody of the child also is also a civil dispute that the court would decide. That how much of maintenance has to be paid, if at all it needs to be paid, in what intervals it needs to be paid, all these things are decided. Right? There are also cases deciding validity of the marriage. So what is validity of the marriage? Whether the marriage is valid or not, that would be decided by the court, because while getting married, right, there are certain conditions that needs to be satisfied. Like if you take the example of Hindu law, it says you should not be having a living spouse at the moment while you are getting married. If you are getting married means you have two spouses, so second marriage would be considered as invalid, only first one would be valid. So there are so many cases filed where one person got married twice and the second wife files a case for maintenance, and court says that your marriage is not even valid because you are the second wife, first wife was living, so because your marriage itself was not valid, you are not entitled to compensation. All these are nothing but matters that court would decide. These are nothing but again family disputes which will be decided. Property matters. Sometimes case would be filed even like children also might be filing, right? Maybe mother plus children would be filing the case for compensation and all that. So many cases all would fall under this part itself. Property matters. Yeah. Matters regarding possession of property, division of property, inheritance of property, etc. are also covered as a type of civil wrong. If someone makes a gift deed to any of his or her regarding any of his or her property and violates the same, it will also be a civil wrong. If I have signed on a gift deed saying that so and so property I am gifting to this person, and later on I am not giving possession, I have simply on paper I have given, but in reality I have not given, those also will be a civil wrong. Right? If I have made some commitments and I'm not doing it, that is also civil wrong. If I have taken money from someone, I'm not returning, that also will be civil wrong. So there are so many different classifications we have. We have commercial suits also, which are filed in between like organizations, right? Based on some commercial terms or conditions, they have done some transaction. If anything goes wrong there, that's also a civil wrong. All these we have different classifications based on what kind of wrong it is, who is the victim, and what is the impact. Based on that, we have different classifications. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So what is the procedural law for all these civil wrongs?
CPC.
CPC, correct.